Hang on. All right. Hello, everyone. This is Warrior Woman 91, and I have a big announcement to make. We are finally calling the election for the mainstream media. Donald Trump is president-elect. I know that they didn't want to call it, but I'm calling it now. So if you're as shocked as I am, or if, like the vindicated Bill Mitchell, you knew it was going to happen all along, you're going to want to stay tuned for today's episode with some pretty awesome guests. Please welcome Kassy, Dillon, Amanda Presto, Aaron Bandler, and Kyle Thompson, and I'm very excited. I'm really excited to have Kassy on today. That this is a very exciting guest to have come on. So we will also be having Elliot Hamilton come on after at the bottom of the hour, so that we can have further discussion with an actual never Trumper. So that will be pretty exciting as well. You want to stay tuned for that. So quick audience note, all death threats, memes, and marriage proposals should be directed at the comment section where I will not read them. And any questions you may have, please send to my Twitter account at WarriorWoman91, and if we have time, we will see about answering them. So everybody's chomping at the bit, so let's get started. Before we jump into the political discussion, I want to take a minute and have Kassy talk about her new website she just started. She's the founder of Lone Conservative, contributor to The Hill and Campus Reform and the Daily Wire. She's got an article coming out hopefully tomorrow. So Kassy, she also filmed the famed Trigglypuff video, which I didn't realize that you were the same person that did that, but I think that's so cool. So Kassy, why don't you tell us a little bit more about Lone Conservative and what you're doing to impact the conservative movement?
Sure, but just one quick note. There's two videos of Trigglypuff. There's one video that's straight on, and there's one video from the side where there's like a girl getting half of her face in it. I'm not the girl in that video. I'm the one that had it.
Are you still there?
Can you guys still see me?
I just lost your video. Hang on. We're having some trouble here. Can you hear us, Kassy? Okay, hang on.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
My Google Hangouts dropped, but sorry.
Okay.
No problem. Lone Conservative is an idea I had when I was doing an internship in DC this summer, and I was on the Metro, and I've been contributing for Campus Reform for a little while, and I just wanted to write an editorial. And at the time, I did not contribute to any of these other websites. I needed somewhere to publish it. So what better way than creating my own website and getting more students involved in it? So now we have about 50 students who write for us, and last month we had 2.5 million people come to our website.
Wow.
We're constantly recruiting, we're constantly growing. We just became an LLC, and we're redoing our website right now. So it's really exciting, and we have a huge team right now.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's gotten really big really fast. Was this back in like May that you started?
I started it right at the end of May.
Yeah. So this is getting pretty big, pretty fast. So everybody, you can go and follow Kassy at Kassy Dillon and at Low Conservative. That's LO Conservative to keep updated on what's going on over there. So guess what, you guys? Trump won. I nearly fell out of my chair. I mean, I did fall out of my chair multiple times, and you all got texts. I'm sure, especially Aaron was getting texts all night long of me screaming. I can't believe this happened. So what I want to do is kind of rip off Ben Shapiro a little bit and do a little bit of good Trump, bad Trump. We were all blown away that Trump won over Hillary because everybody was predicting that she would lose, or that she would win and he would lose. So first we're going to talk about the positives of this Trump win. And I wanted to start with Amanda. What do Republicans and conservatives have to look forward to with the Trump presidency?
First of all, the tears of leftists everywhere, obviously. That's like first and foremost, most important. Just drink them up, like bathe in them, do whatever you can. It's delicious. So just fully enjoy that. I actually, because I'm the ultimate troll, I created a change.org petition to send all of these celebrities who vowed to leave if Trump won. They said they were going to leave. So I just want to encourage them. So I created a petition. We can all sign it. 1,200 signatures. So I'm going to put that out there on my Twitter. So let's all sign that and encourage them to leave because they want out. Bye. And then on a serious note, on the Supreme Court, I do think it'll be more of a conservative pick. I think he's going to stick to someone on that list. So that's huge, obviously. So even the anti-police sentiment, we can look forward to kind of squashed. Love someone to have police officers back. He's obviously not going to matter to the White House and legitimize that. So I think it's going to help us, the Supreme Court. And then, so there's people being hysterical and trying to kind of goes in and does anything, and they're like, oh, he's already backtracking on Obamacare. I think we need to slow down provisions. One about staying on your parents' plan until you're 26, and then the pre-existing condition. Those two stipulations. So, and I think there's gonna be a lot of good with Trump. He's obviously from New York. He's from New York, he's from Manhattan. He's not a traditional conservative, and we're gonna see that. We're gonna see a lot more compromise, but good. So we have to keep him honest, obviously, but we can't rip him down before he even does anything. I think that's important as well. But we'll obviously see a lot of good things coming from him.
Kassy, what are your thoughts on the positives of a President Trump?
Well, I found out he won when I was in a room full of liberals. There's 3 Trump supporters, and I was in a room of about 100 to 200 to 300. I don't even know how many there were, but it was full of liberals. They're chanting every time Hillary won a state. They were like, Hillary, Hillary, and then they're like, F Trump, F Trump. And then when he won Florida, me and my one friend cheered. We were like, woo! And literally people started flipping us off, screaming, it was crazy. So I think a good part about him winning is these people are learning a lesson. So I'm loving it. They're all crying their eyes out, and they're mad that I'm laughing at them for crying. But I'm going to continue laughing because you're acting like children.
Yeah.
It's going to continue. So I like that. So that's a good point. The other good point is the international community is not as scared as people thought they were. Putin was the first one to come out and congratulate him. I think it's really going to help relations with Russia, which we do need. I'm not trying to have World War III like Hillary Clinton wants. Bibi Netanyahu is really receptive of it. Even the Mexican president was pretty receptive of it. And Canada, I think he's going to do fine. And the problem that I'm seeing, though, people aren't even giving him a chance. So I'm hearing people want to protest at the inauguration, and that's what's really making me upset. That's just terrible. It's disrespectful, and they're protesting democracy. I don't get it. So the positives of this is people are learning their lesson. The establishment's learning their lesson, both on the Democratic side and the Republican side. And I think it's really going to change and shift our political atmosphere in the future.
It's really quite wonderful to see the Miley Cyrus video is probably my favorite one. I made my dad watch that video, and he is a professional public speaker. He was a pastor for 10 years, and that video rendered him speechless. He had nothing to say. He was just so horrified that somebody could be so wrapped up in one candidate that they would have that kind of a meltdown. Although she was actually, believe it or not, as Amanda pointed out earlier, one of the more reasonable reactions, which says something about the Democratic Party. So now let's shift to the other side. Kyle, why don't you talk about, and I want to bring this especially to policy. What do we have to be concerned about with Trump?
I think we have a lot to be concerned about. I would say that we definitely dodged a bullet with avoiding Hillary Clinton becoming the next president. But for people that think that Donald Trump is going to be, Ronald Reagan, which is what we're hearing actually a lot right now, is we heard it a lot in the campaign. We're hearing it from a lot of the people that were diehard Trump supporters, that this is the Reagan moment, this is the next Reagan revolution. I think they're going to be sorely disappointed because the man is not Reagan. He has put forth a lot of great policies, especially in his Gettysburg Address. I thought when he laid out his first 100 days, there was a lot of solid things in there. I think that it's up to us, the constitutional conservatives, the people that understand what is going on here, understand what it needs to take in order to move America forward in the direction to save her from, the things that are currently destroying her, the policies implemented by the liberal Democrats. we're going to have to hold his feet to the fire, because even as we speak, he's already starting to walk back a lot of the policies that he campaigned on. Especially like this morning, I don't know if anyone read, but I did get a news alert this morning that he's already talking about replacing the wall with just a fence. And the wall was his biggest campaign tenet. So I would say that there's a lot of things to worry about. We have to worry about Obamacare. He's now saying that he campaigned on repeal and replace, and now he's saying that there are parts of it that he wants to leave intact. So I think healthcare, I think immigration, I would say, I agree that with Amanda. I think that we're probably going to get a pretty conservative person on the Supreme Court. Well, he'll probably stick to the list. I'm hoping that he does. But I think that we have, I'm hoping, my fingers are crossed for the tax plan. His tax plan is pretty robust. So I'm hoping that he does not water it down. I'm hoping that he will stick to what he did, because that is really where that's the best part of his economic plan, not these tariffs and other protectionist policies, but the tax plan is really what I hope he will leave as he campaigned on and not water it down. But we'll see. We have to see where this is going to go. I think, again, Amanda, I agree again with her that we have to give him a chance. A lot of people are quick to jump on him right now. And for some, for valid reasons, like if he's starting to walk back stuff, like, yes, he should be worthy of criticism. But I think we do need to wait until he's inaugurated, he takes office. I think that at that point we can really start to pin his record on the wall and criticize him when he is not following the Constitution. And when he does follow the Constitution, then we should be, the strongest advocates for what he's doing and for his policies. I just would say one other thing, we need to also watch his appointments. I think that the people he surrounds him with is going to be critical to make sure that he's putting the right people around him. I think that'll be very telling of what his policies will look like.
Aaron, do you want to follow up with that?
Yeah, I firstly, I was at the Reagan Library yesterday. I mean, dude, Trump is nowhere near the level of Reagan. Like, it's not even close. I also like to point out, it's like, yeah, well, it is concerning that he's already gone back on Obamacare a little bit. One of his top advisors has kind of gone back on the Iran deal and said, oh, we're not going to replace it, we're just going to renegotiate it. And today, Trump came out with a very, very radically left-wing plan in terms of student loan debt, which is just concerning. And the reason, it's like, yeah, I'm willing to keep an open mind about him and want to give him a chance. But the problem is that this is a man who likes to make deals. So the fact that he's already going away from strong negotiating starting points is a problem. But it's even more of a problem when you consider the fact that we have 52 Republican senators. That's a very, very thin line there, especially when you consider the fact that there are so many more liberal Republicans like John McCain and Susan Collins who tend to go to the other side more often than not. And also the fact that right now it's probably going to be Chuck Schumer as the Democrat Senate Minority Leader. That guy is one of the more devious and slimy people in politics. And Mitch McConnell will still be our Majority Leader. And what concerns me about that is that Harry Reid basically ran circles around Mitch McConnell as Minority Leader. And Harry Reid's an old man who I think has dementia. I'm being serious. He should get help now that he's retired. And Chuck Schumer is way more smarter at this than Harry Reid is. And that's why I'm really not that optimistic about the Supreme Court pick, because when during the Bush years, Chuck Schumer led very massive, unprecedented filibusters against Bush's nominees. Been stonewalled some very, very good picks like Miguel Estrada and so forth. He's going to do something similar with any of Trump's nominees on that list. And since Trump likes to make deals, and Mitch McConnell seems unwilling to use the nuclear option, which would require only 51 majority vote. I could see a scenario where Trump picks somebody who's not on that list and he says, oh, making a good deal here with Schumer. It's like, well, no, Schumer just basically outsmarted you, So that's my biggest concern. I think, yeah, I want to keep an open mind about him, but it's really the Chuck Schumer thing that really is disconcerting to me, especially with the fact that Trump is kind of backing away from his strong negotiating points. So it's something we have to really, keep in mind and hold him accountable for throughout his presidency.
So this is what I kind of wanted to do with you guys today, because I know there's a lot of different opinions about Trump and how conservative he is and how we need to react to him and this and that. So I wanted to have Amanda and Kassy kind of respond to Kyle and Aaron's concerns, and then vice versa, have Kyle and Aaron kind of talk about some positives for Trump. So why don't we start? Let's go back to Amanda. What do you think needs to happen in order to kind of allay some of these concerns about Trump?
No, I think they're legitimate concerns. I mean, like I said, Donald Trump is not the most conservative guy in the world. He's obviously from New York. He's like a Manhattan socialite. He's not, you know, and these are real concerns. And I think it's important that we do, you know, hold his feet to the fire. But I think he has a really good team around him. I think choosing Pence was a good choice. Pence is going to be his transition team leader. So I think there's a lot of good people around him who I think are going to implement some conservative things. So I think we have that to look forward to. So it's not just going to be him. And then also we have the House and the Senate. That helps us as well. I know Aaron was raising concerns, but I mean, and like I said, I think we can't, just like everyone's been writing him off, we have to see what he does. But I do think that the concerns, and we do have to hold his feet to the fire for sure. But like I said, like these little, I mean, there's like a lot of media still take like this Obamacare thing. I don't think it's gonna be changed. Like there are gonna be a lot of huge changes to it, if not repealed and replaced, like basically amended so you can't even recognize it. And I think kind of the hysteria over, see, I told you, it's a lot of sore losers, a lot of never Trumpers trying to be like, see, instead of trying to give him a chance, and it's a lot of sour grapes, I think, honestly. So I think we have to look at these concerns about it, understand that he's not that conservative, and we do have to hold his feet to the fire. And then also one other point, Trump is a populist, and he did say he's going to do these things about trade deals and stuff like that that I don't agree with. But hey, there's another point that people are missing, is that we weren't winning when it was just conservatives, like just socialist conservatives. We weren't, and like we needed this kind of, I mean, he won because people who voted for Obama voted for him. Like, you know, you can avoid it all you want, but that's the truth. And those things are going to happen, and we can fight it, and we should fight it, and we should try to get things, you know, as constitutionally conservative as possible. But that's a hard reality, and the people who live in this utopia where we're, you know, where the majority of America, he's not. Just the reality of it, and I think we have to not surrender by any means, but try to broaden the base, like Trump has. From all you want, but that's a hard reality. So I think we got to keep trying to keep him honest, but just understand that truth.
Kassy, do you want to kind of speak to the?
Sorry.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Do you want to kind of speak to the
as well?
Yeah. I wanted you to kind of talk about this. No problem. The phenomenon, because I'm guilty of it too, of people not giving Trump a chance. You know, just for me personally, I don't like to give people chances after I don't like them. So what can we do to encourage, you know, never Trumpers or just like average conservatives that were not thrilled with Trump? How can we kind of encourage them to give Trump a chance and to, you know, maybe not quite be so harsh on him as we can be?
Sure, Kelly, there's a very simple answer to this question. The answer is you don't have to do anything. The liberals are doing it for us. They're burning down cities and they're attacking each other and attacking businesses, and we don't have to do anything. I'm starting to see all of my never Trumper friends, especially Elliot, who'll be coming back later, defending Trump. And the reason why they're defending Trump is because the liberals are going so crazy that they have no other option. There's fear-mongering going on. So when you defend Trump, you're not doing it anymore because you like him. You're doing it because the other side's just so crazy that you have to. So I don't think we have to do anything. I'm seeing a lot of never Trumpers come back into our side. And then I want to touch a little bit about what happened this election. I think, yes, a lot of Obama's people voted for him, but it's also we had a party realignment this election. And that's because we just won the white working class vote. We didn't have that before. We had it somewhat, but we didn't have it nearly as much as we do now. So yes, all of the people that voted for Trump are not hardcore conservatives that want a president like Ted Cruz. They're working class people that are really concerned about what's going on. And believe it or not, the person who said it best is Michael Moore. If you saw his video talking about it back in August or July, he made the points exactly why people voted for him, even though he's a Hillary fan, but he made exactly the point why Donald Trump was going to win. He predicted it, and he was right.
Mm-hmm. Kyle, do you want to kind of speak to what we're talking about, kind of jump into this conversation, mostly regarding this dynamic of, yes, holding Trump's feet to the fire, but, you know, I again have been guilty of the pile-on of let's trash on Trump, and I will assure you I probably will do it again this afternoon because I can't help myself. But I kind of want to get everybody's opinion about this and have you address just kind of some of the positives regarding Trump, which I often overlook.
Sure. Well, I think, you know, as far as the dynamic between people choosing to be supportive of him and defending him versus people, quote, piling on, I think that for me, it goes back to the Constitution. When I think that we have a obligation when Trump follows the Constitution, when he implements policy that is in line with what the Constitution lays out, then I think that we, even the never Trumpers, the conservatives, the Republican Party, has an obligation to defend that and to be his strongest advocates in those cases. When he does not follow the Constitution, then I think that was why we were critical of Barack Obama, was because he was not following the Constitution. So in the same light, I think that when Donald Trump chooses to reject the Constitution and wants to go into this progressive, populist, nationalist, agrarian stuff, protectionism and the like, then I think at that point we should be critical of him, because that way we are fairly administering criticism. Administered it to Barack Obama when he was violating the Constitution. If Trump violates the Constitution, you can guarantee that that we will be as critical of him. But if he follows the Constitution, then I think that that's an opportunity for us to defend him and to advocate for him and to push through that agenda, because that's what we want to see. And just like you guys were mentioning about how we are getting this demographic of the white working class vote, which actually Reagan got. I mean, if you look at successful administrations, Ronald Reagan was a landslide victory in 1984. Actually, in both years that
43 states in 1980, 49 and 84.
Right. So I think that
1984.
Thank you, Aaron, fact checker there. My point being though is that it really wasn't a long time ago that we were getting this demographic, and then the reason why is because Reagan had a pro-liberty agenda, and if we continue without a pro-liberty agenda, then I think that we're going to see like what we have been seeing with these other candidates. I think the reason why Trump won these congressional districts, that pushed him over the edge in states like Ohio, Florida, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, is because it wasn't so much of an embrace of Donald Trump's populism. People are repudiating the Washington establishment, which Hillary Clinton enshrines the Washington inside the Beltway corruption. And that's why people were so motivated to go out. Small town America, rural, I can't even say America was motivated to go out and to reject that agenda. And I think that, there's obviously the people that love Trump and that embrace Trump and were embracing all of his policies. But I think that most of the people are just so fed up with Washington. You saw this in 2010, you saw this in 2014, you're seeing it now. This has been an ongoing frustration that's been building up, and people are sick of it. And that's why we're winning these demographics that we hadn't before. But I think that we have to go back to the Constitution, support him when he follows it, be critical when he does not, and try to bring, and in that criticism, bring him to a more conservative position.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just kind of piggyback off that. The thing is that when you look at like the total like voter turnout and stuff, like Trump has got like less votes than Romney. He might end up getting like right around Romney, like right when all the votes are being tallied. But it's not like he got like these huge swarms of new voters. It was mainly because Hillary couldn't turn out the Obama coalition from 2008 and 2012. And while it is true that Trump did get a lot more Obama voters, it was basically kind of like what Kyle said. It was basically because they felt these working class white voters kind of felt left behind by the Democrat Party. And I think there's no better statement that illustrates this than when Hillary said that she was going to put coal miners out of business. There's so many, it's basically coal country there in the Midwest, in Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and so forth. And without coal, I mean, already we're seeing like these different towns and areas being decimated by Obama's EPA. And so when Hillary said that it was basically like a middle finger to those people. And what Trump did was he basically said, you know what, you guys are the forgotten men. I'm reaching out to you guys. I'm going to be like, your fighter, basically. And so with those voters, it wasn't so much ideology. It's just the fact that, hey, there's someone here who acknowledges us. So we're going to vote for him, warts and all. So, I mean, would Ted Cruz or Marco Rubio have won those voters? I'd like to think so. I guess you can't really know for sure. But, as Kyle said, it's like, the last president to win massive landslides was Reagan in 84. So, So we shouldn't just like dismiss like conservatism out of hand like that. And so I think many never-Trumpers I think many, if just from what I've been reading, it seems like they're willing to give Trump a chance. And certainly these riots, as Kassy was saying earlier, it's like they're definitely kind of uniting everyone on the right because it's just so delicious to taste those leftist tears. So it'll be fun. But what we can't do is let people start thinking that Trump is a conservative, because many people to this day still think Bush is a conservative, but he's really not if you look at his policies closely. So we cannot let people think Trump is a conservative. That's why we have to hold his feet to the fire. And hopefully he surrounds himself with good conservatives. We'll get a better idea of how he'll govern when his cabinet's filled out. There are some good members of his transition team. There's Mike Pence, obviously. You got Ed Meese, who was Reagan's Attorney General for a few years. Ed Follner, who ran the Heritage Foundation for nearly 40 years. That's good. But then there's some there's a lot of Bush people on there, some corporate lobbyists, very squishy rhino Republicans from Congress. So, we'll have to see. We just have to hold his feet to the fire and basically make sure that he's, he does conservative things and not give in to Chuck Schumer, basically. That's what we have to do.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I want to welcome our next guest, Elliot Hamilton. I'm very excited to have him on. I wasn't sure if we were going to pull this off, but we did. So Elliot is a contributor to the Daily Wire, newly inducted member, and he also is a never-Trumper, as Kassy pointed out earlier. And so what I wanted him to talk about is this divide in the Republican Party, because especially during the primaries, we factioned off so much, because the most high-profile divide is, of course, between the never-Trumpers and the Trumpers, like the hardcore Sean Hannitys of the world. But then even in between that, you've got people like me who voted for Trump but hate, basically hate most of what he had stood for. I mean, especially regarding how he treated his opponents in the primaries and the things that he said, caught on camera saying things like that. There's so many various levels of people who are, pro-Trump. There's the pro-Trump, but then obviously they're willing to criticize him, and then there's people like me, and then there's the never-Trumpers. So what I wanted to have Elliot talk about is what can we do to bridge that divide and have party unity, because I still feel like that there are some people that are outlying. Maybe let's use Jonah Goldberg and John Nolte as examples. They still are feuding over this, and so what can we do to bring those two opposing ends to at least a mutual understanding, I suppose?
Well, the first thing is that we have to laugh at all of the leftists who are going berserk out in the streets. I think that's something that has brought us together. I even brought popcorn just for the entire thing. But that's a shout out to Josh Hammer. He actually did that at a protest the other day, and it was brilliant. But on a more serious note, the problem is that clearly we have people on the never-Trumper side and the very, very pro-Trumper side who are digging their heels in. And I agree with what everyone else is saying, that Never Trump has really come out of the woodwork and said, look, yes, we did not support, and I did not vote for him personally. I'm going to make that very clear. But we have to come together at this point and realize that he is our president-elect. We had to swallow our pride a little bit. And the best thing that we can actually do together is to unite behind him, like, tangentially, because he is our president. He's representing the Republican Party. The Republican Party is the house of so many people on within the conservative and libertarian movement. So we need to be able to reach across the aisles amongst ourselves in order to do that. But the point is that when we have individuals within the very, very pro-Trumper camp who are trying to uphold this idea of burning down the system, throwing everybody under the bus who did not support him by any means necessary, that is just as much of a problem as the Never Trumpers who will not give him the time of day and also sold out the Republican Party and voted for Hillary Clinton in the first place. So I think it's just a matter of navigating those paths where we have extremes on both ends of this entire conservative spectrum, and we just need to find the decent people in the middle of it and the more reasonable minds amongst us and actually come together and say, this is what we have to do. These are the lines that we shall not cross, and these are the things that we're going to stand for regardless, and we will hold Trump's feet to the fire if he does not uphold some of the promises that he actually gave to so many of us, whether we took the bait or not.
I'd like to debate that.
Okay, go right ahead.
So something you said was it's not okay to burn down the establishment and not appoint people who were against him during the elections. Is that correct?
What I said was that I think that there's a difference within the very pro-Trump camp, where those who are more willing to make ends and make amends with people who were very much Never Trump, understanding that the purpose that we have to do right now is unify under our new president-elect. And then you have the individuals like Sean Hannity going out on Fox News saying that Paul Ryan is going to be out of his job in January. I think that there is a specific difference and a distinction between those pro-Trump people who are vehemently on the burn everything to the ground versus those who said we were vicious during the campaign and we do not apologize for it. And I understand why they're unapologetic for it, but it's that conceding the fact that in order for us to reach a consensus, we need to calm down just a tad.
Well, you have to remember the people who voted Trump in did not vote him in because he's part of the Republican Party. They did not vote him in because he wants to work with the establishment. They voted him in because he wants to burn down the establishment. So I think there's certain people that I don't think it'd be a good idea for him to have in his administration. Like many people are talking about Reince Priebus. I don't think that's necessarily a good idea because that sends a bad message to his voters. He's also been appointing people from Wall Street, have been on his short list for some positions. So I think that's a bad idea too. But I think the important point here is he's not a Republican. He ran into the party, but he's not a Republican. So I don't think Trump necessarily even has to work with Republicans. I think he could win again without working with any of the House Speaker or anyone in Congress necessarily.
The problem is, of course, is that, and not to cut you off, but the problem is that he ran his campaign under the Republican banner. So it's that kind of that even though, yes, the way that he ran his campaign and the things that he was talking about were vehemently against the establishment in a way still came out right behind him and helped move the ball forward in terms of the ground campaign that Trump himself wasn't putting his own money down behind. It was the RNC under Reince Priebus who actually assisted in the ground effort that got more people within those swing states to shift in his direction instead of voting for Hillary. So I wouldn't.
Sure?
I don't think the RNC did that great.
I think a little bit. It was a little. It wasn't much.
Really.
But
I mean, the RNC is kind of
enough that it was enough leverage.
Every single Trump volunteer that I've seen, they're volunteers. They're not getting paid by Trump's campaign. He had people that just wanted to work for him who have never even voted before. They did not come in because of the party. And it's also worth mentioning that the Republican Party has not backed him up. They let him out in the cold when that video came out. You know, Carly Fiorina, Paul Ryan, they're all like, oh, we want you to drop out now. We want somebody else.
That was a handful of people au contraire to the rest of the party, though.
Well, you had almost every single elected official in, what was it, Nevada come out. You had their governor and both of their congressmen just come out and say,
Nevada went towards Hillary anyway. We all know, doesn't matter. He didn't need Nevada to win.
Let's let some other people get in here. Aaron, do you want to?
The thing is that Trump is already kind of starting to like surround himself with insiders. I mean, Reince Priebus is a really serious consideration for chief of staff, and you know it's based between Priebus, Newport, Lewandowski, and Steve Bannon. I mean, they're all terrible. I think he's probably like the least worst option out of those three. But oh my God, those are all terrible. I mean, talking about Rudy Giuliani's been a long time.
Everyone turned their back on him.
What's that?
I said, I don't really blame him.
Well, okay, but anyway, Rudy Giuliani's also a long-time Washington insider. Newt Gingrich is another close advisor who's been in Washington for a long time. I don't know. I'm not convinced he's going to stick to the establishment, although I'd have no problem with Paul Ryan no longer being Speaker of the House. I mean, the guy basically is like Boehner 2.0, just selling out the farm to the left wing every time. And plus Ryan is very, very radical on amnesty, which, I mean, if any sort of amnesty happened under Trump, he's done, because that would go against everything he ran on. I certainly hope like he sticks to the establishment, but I'm not convinced yet. We'll just have to see who he appoints to his cabinet. If he appoints like John Bolton, Secretary of State, like Jeff Sessions as Attorney General, I'd be happy. But if instead he appoints Giuliani to Attorney General and Bob Corker, who's a moron, to Secretary of State, I'm getting very pissed. It's like that's not a good sign if he appoints those two. And I say the reason why I say about Giuliani is the fact that I understand a lot of people respect him. I respect Giuliani a lot too. But at one point he was like the U.S. attorney under Reagan, I think, and the guy just made all kinds of very loose prosecutions that would bring people in handcuffs for like a lot of, for reasons that were. They're not exactly sufficient. So I'm kind of worried that Giuliani would bring that same sort of approach to Attorney General. It's like we already had two very, very horrific politicized attorneys general under Obama. We don't need another one with Trump. I would really like to see like Mike Lee or Ken Kuchel be Attorney General, but that's not going to happen most likely. So Jeff Sessions.
Trey Gowdy.
Oh my God, that would be awesome, dude. That would be awesome.
Monster as Attorney General. Yes. Both know, all of us know this.
Yes. Mm-hmm. But I'd say but realistically, in terms of who Trump is close to, it'd probably be Jeff Sessions is probably our best option, I think.
So Amanda, do you want to jump in here? Where do you kind of fall among this whole discussion?
My connection was really bad, so I was kind of going in and out. But Elliot was before touching on like unity, and I think he was kind of right talking about how we have to go after things that are we both sides see, especially like when the left is acting ridiculous, we can kind of bond over that, and that both sides kind of have to let go. Honestly speaking, like never Trump's going to have to let go a little more because they lost, obviously. But and also just one other remark. When I say we have to give Trump a chance, I've never said that I agree with he said it. I don't think he's a god. But this was a binary choice, and I backed him. And can still criticize him. I've never said we should not. That's not the point. Like I'm a conservative. That's what I want to push, and everyone should criticize him when he does something that's not. But again, there is this reality that he did campaign on like trade deals and such that you're going to have to accept. I mean, we can fight what he campaigned on, and that's what he's going to do.
I'm backing up on that, though.
But which is great. But I don't know if he will for sure. I mean, he says a lot. He says different stances every day. I don't know what he's actually going to do. Isn't it? Honestly, I'm like, okay, he said he's going to like Obamacare, and then like 2 seconds later, he's like, oh, repeal and replace. So just wait.
Yeah.
Like thousands happens, but I think we can bond over the left being ridiculous, and I think that's important. And
I think we're having a really bad connection with Amanda.
That's, I think the important thing, it's like, I mean, I'm willing to give Trump a chance. I think all other Trumpers are too. It's just, I'm basically just saying, like, why there are reasons to be concerned, and just realize that, you know, we have a lot of work to do to make sure that he does what we want him to do.
Breaking news. According to the Wall Street Journal, the leading contender for Trump's chief of staff is indeed Priebus.
Figures.
Oh, thank God.
I know.
Imagine Steve Bannon as chief of staff would be so bad. Oh my God. I read against Bannon that he's quipped to that might actually happen if
Steve Bannon is chief of staff. Every single never Trumper, like very public never Trumper, is going to be on a list.
Pretty much, yeah.
A couple of us here.
That's the concern. I mean, right now I've come out and said that I will back Corey Lewandowski. If it's between Lewandowski and Bannon, I will back Lewandowski.
Yeah.
Because that is how concerned I am about Bannon being in that position, because you've got obviously our boss is like preparing for an IRS audit if Bannon is in charge. So, what I wanted to kind of, we've got two more segments basically. I want to give this to Kyle. There's a concern regarding Trump, obviously, about rehashing of the kind of Bush feeling that there was after the 8 years of Bush. The media basically had their Hitlerian figure, their Darth Vader. Bush did this, Bush did that, but you know, everything that went wrong with this world, it was Bush's fault. You know, Bush lied, people died, this and that. I think that it was Shapiro that brought that up. Are we going to have a similar problem with Trump in 4 to 8 years, or is he going to be the next Bush, or how can Trump prevent that from happening again? Is basically my question.
That's a great question. You better believe that the media and the left is going to do everything that they can possible to destroy Trump's presidency. So right now it's all fluffy and everyone is getting together and getting along, and Obama and Clinton are playing nice, and there's all this actually suspiciously very quickly they all became friends, right? When just recently they were, you know, at each other's throats. So it's all a facade, really. And I think that you're going to see the media, you're going to see left-wing politicians in Congress, left-wing politicians in the different states, really doing everything they can. I mean, they are planning impeachment, really, that they are going to be running circles around him, I shouldn't say running circles. If he does the right thing, you know, if he's smart about it, hopefully he can thwart that. But they're already plotting against him. And so I think it also depends on how he performs. If he turns into, I mean, if he has a come to Jesus moment and he turns into Reagan, so to speak, then I think that they're going to have a harder time to paint him as this ridiculous person, as Darth Vader, as you put it. But I'm not confident in that, and I think that you can bet on the fact that they are going to do everything they can to undermine him, to insubordinate against him. So that's why it's so important. It's so critical that you guys were talking about cabinet members. That's why it's so critical that he puts the right people in the right positions. It doesn't play this touchy-feely game with the establishment, because what's interesting is for someone who ran as an anti-establishment populist, we're gonna, get everyone with the pitchforks and take down Washington D.C. Where are the conservatives? Where his administration is getting filled? I mean, his picks are already starting to be all the establishment. For someone who is anti-establishment, where are the conservatives? Where is the people like Ted Cruz and Mike Lee and Ken Cuccinelli? Where are these people in this discussion of who is going to be which secretary or attorney general? So that's where he needs to take it seriously. He needs to really think about the people that are around him, because if he doesn't take it seriously, if he's not going to be smart about it, they're going to eat him up in Washington. Either he will devour the establishment and the Democrats, or the reverse will happen. They will devour him. They will. He's got 2 years before the next midterms. He's got to get most of the stuff he wants done in those 2 years. Otherwise, it's going to be a real battle. And then in 2020, they're going to try to unseat him. So, and that's really where you'll see the media full lock and step try to paint him like they did with Bush. They're going to be, they're going to do that regardless. Whether he turns out to be Reagan or not, they're going to do that regardless. They're going to try to paint him in a very, very negative light. But if he turns out to be a real true conservative, Reagan-esque, then I think that he will be able to combat that a little bit easier. People will be more, people will obviously be more happy and pleased with the job that he has done.
I think it's hilarious. I believe it was Aaron that said Newt Gingrich is the face of all that is wrong with the Republican Party, and now he's the guy that may be secretary. Maybe you texted that to me.
I don't recall saying that, but I'm not a fan of Newt. There have been folks saying that he changed his positions based on political wins. I would say with the midterms real quick is that I think we're set up for strong midterms in 2018 because this was supposed to be the Republicans' hard year because we had so many incumbent Republicans up for re-election. In 2018, the Democrats have 5 incumbents running for election. They're all in states that Trump won. So I think we're actually in good position as far as that goes.
I second that.
Right. I will say that I actually wouldn't mind seeing Trump impeached because then we get President Pence, and that'd be pretty awesome. I think he'd be a lot better than President Trump would be. But, it's as Kyle was saying, it's like Trump can avoid that if he actually governs conservatively, which is where we have to make sure he kind of does what we want him to do, pulls feet to the fire. As a side note, I do think it's a lot of the hysterics about Trump being Hitler are so hilarious, but also offensive at the same time. I think our friend Josh Yasma said it best on Facebook. We just say, you know what? People comparing Trump to Hitler, just F you. Stop trivializing the Holocaust. It's amen, brother. Amen.
Don't get me started on that. Do not get me started.
Oh, yeah, I'm
sure. I'm going to be on a rant at that point, so I'll leave it at that.
Can I just make one more comment, too, about the whole rights thing, too, because I know you announced that headline, Elliot, when it came up. I think that, again, like I asked, where are the conservatives in this so-called Trump administration? Because for someone who campaigned against the establishment and said they were going to take down the establishment, putting Reince Priebus as your chief of staff, Reince is the epitome of the establishment. He is the entrenched RNC chairman who actually, he at the convention, he empowered himself. He broke his own committee rules to empower his chair position and to quash the conservatives. So I think it sends a really big message to then install him as your chief of staff. I think that it's I hope people are watching this. I hope people don't just oh whatever. I hope that people are watching this and they'll hold him accountable because he's better than Bannon, but he's not going to be he's not going to be. You're going to see him working it. If there is conservatives as his cabinet members and you have Reince as chief of staff, there will be infighting. In those cabinet meetings, there will be backstabbing. You'll see. You saw this in Reagan's administration. You see it probably almost in every administration. But certainly, I think about Ed Meese with Reagan's. Yes. And so they. You see this type of infighting, which is never a great thing. I think that it just adds to the problem. But I think that him being an establishment figure, he's the epitome of the establishment. It's very concerning. But
Well, also, chief of staff is the most powerful position in the White House outside of being the president himself.
Right.
So the fact that he's chief of staff, that basically says that means the rest of the cabinet base will probably be establishment types,
Right, and that's what I mean. Yeah, that's what I mean.
And that's it is very disconcerting. And my biggest fear is that Trump governs, more of a liberal Republican. And throughout history, you've noticed that liberal Republicans have a bad habit of giving way to these very radical left-wing Democrats. It's like Herbert Hoover gave us FDR, Nixon, Ford gave us Carter, Bush 43 gave us Obama. So my fear is that Trump's going to give us someone like Kamala Harris, as basically Kyle and Kelly and I all know from in California. Like Kamala Harris has like the ideology of Bernie Sanders, but it's far
gosh.
more articulate and attractive than either of them. So
she's Barack Obama in a skirt, basically.
Exactly. Right, and she's I mean, I can seriously see her becoming president one day, and I'm afraid that a Trump presidency could kind of lay the groundwork for it. So
Sorry, Aaron, you bring up a great point, because if you think about it, Herbert Hoover was actually very much a Trump. There's a lot of similarities.
Right.
They were both non-politicians. They were both wealthy billionaires, businessmen. Both protectionists. So, there's a lot of correlations there. I think that's something that people should be looking at, because, like you said, he could be laying the groundwork for another disaster,
I mean, I think the thing is that the more that we kind of speculate on all these things when we really don't know, like, for sure what's going on, I think it's a little bit ludicrous here and there.
Sure.
Not to like smack either one of you or anyone here. I mean, we have a reason to talk about these things, but I think that I think it is important to at one end that we actually do have a conservative in this administration, and that's Pence. And the thing is that, and now that Pence is essentially taking over the transition team, I think that, and he's really in charge of it, and Trump's kind of like far off from it. I think that if anyone's in the best position to try to find a balance between attracting the conservatives of the party with the establishment of the party, and then of course the people like the wackos like Steve Bannon, I think Pence has put himself directly in the middle of that just by virtue of being his vice president. So I think that we haven't discussed that as a possibility, as something that is actually beneficial to all of us in the end, because as I pointed out earlier, right as I started speaking, we need to find some sort of unity amongst ourselves, because the more that we try to have all this infighting between the very pro-Trump people and the never-Trump people, the more unlikely it's going to be that we're going to be any different from the Democrats, who are currently eating themselves out because they lost, and they lost because they were a bunch of arrogant jerks.
Yeah.
So much hubris that they finally fell upon their own sword, and we have to ensure that we do not do that.
Okay, so I want to make sure Kassy gets a chance, because we've been having a lot of connection problems. But Kassy, what do we have to look for? What are you looking forward to most of all in the next 4 years as far as policy from Trump?
As far as policy, well, I'm definitely, it's not policy, but I'm really hoping for the Supreme Court nominations to go well. So it'd be really great to have somebody replace Scalia's position. But other than that, I don't think Trump's going to get much passed. I don't think either the Democrat side or the Republican side is going to want to help him with anything.
I thought that you said that he doesn't have to work with Congress, though.
He doesn't have to work with Congress to get reelected. They'll reelect him.
Sorry, I thought when you meant that comment, I thought you meant like to get his policy through.
Right.
No, they're not. I don't think they're going to get anything through, because what's going to happen is he's going to push these really progressive policies. We already saw he's advocating for paternity leave and all these progressive policies. And I think the Democrats are going to find something wrong with it, even if they agree with it, and not pass it just because it's Trump.
Maybe.
And
I don't know. I think the Republicans, given how they kind of like rolled over to Obama, I wouldn't be surprised if they do the same thing to Trump, but just kind of roll over and play dead for his policies. But we'll see, though. I mean, the good news is that there are some things that he won't need, like he won't need to pass the 60-vote threshold in the Senate to a filibuster. So, like for Obamacare, for instance, because that was passed the reconciliation process. I think Paul Ryan said a few years ago that they could repeal 85% of it with just 51 votes in the Senate. So I do think most of Obamacare will be repealed. It'll just be a matter of the two provisions that he's gone wobbly on, and what anything can replace it with. But that's still concerning to me, because he's been an advocate of a single-payer health care in the past. I would think that tax cuts would be able to be passed too, because it seems like those seem to be passed and under Republican presidents, regardless of who's in Congress, is because those seem to go well. I mean, Reagan was able to pass tax cuts for the Democrat House. Bush was able to pass tax cuts, even though John McCain kept being. John McCain made those tax cuts not permanent, but Bush was able to still pass them anyway. So I'm at least confident those two things will pass. As for the rest, well, again, it really depends on what Chuck Schumer does.
Yeah, I don't think the wall is going to get built. I don't think that we're going to have a 30% tariff on imports coming in. I don't think
I hope there's no imports. The thing about the wall is the fact that right now there's actually a law on the books passed under Bush for like 1,200, 1,500 miles of fence is supposed to be built, and only like 600 maybe. Something like that have been built. So all Trump has to do is just enforce current law. We're already going to see a lot more like fence or wall whatever being built on the border. So if he does that at least, and if he starts cracking down on illegal immigration, which he doesn't need Congress to do, I mean, that's already a good start. So again, like I said, it's going to be all about how Trump and Republicans deal with Chuck Schumer there in the Senate. And that's really the thing to keep an eye on throughout the next 4 years.
Yeah, I really don't think there's much that he's going to do, but I think him being in the position he's in is not about getting legislation passed or changing things like that. He's there as a big FU to the establishment, and he's really going to change the political landscape in the future. I don't think he's going to get much done. I think he's going to be very careful because he doesn't want to put a bad persona on his name. He's going to try extra hard to not look bad because everyone's against him. The media is already against him. They're already waiting for him to fail, and so are the Democrats, and so are the Republicans. Everyone's against him, so he's going to tread very lightly and not try to, fail.
Well, the main thing that I like about Trump presidency is the fact that I'm really hoping that political correctness will just die under Trump, and if that happens, we're already won so much. Because political correctness has hampered the political landscape in such a negative way. And so what that means, the social justice wars in college campuses start melting. There's a lot less of this safe space BS and all that. I mean, that would in of itself be such a huge win. That goes on what you said, Kassy. If he does that, that'd be really big, I think. Go a long way towards changing the culture back into our favor.
So I want to make sure Elliot gets enough of a chance to talk because I know he only got to be on for half the amount of time. Elliot, what are you looking forward to in the next 4 years, whether it is with Trump policies or with maybe Congress growing a spine? Maybe not. I don't know. It's a pipe dream.
I don't bet the farm. I don't bet the farm. I think this is going to be very stereotypical of me, but move the embassy to Jerusalem.
Yes.
For God's sake.
Yes.
For the love of God. This has been needing to be done for 20 years, and somebody needs to tell the Palestinian Arabs that if they're going to continue on with their nonsense with this entire peace process, then we're going to start making moves. And I think that as long as J Street is out of the White House and out of Congress, then a lot's going to be done, and at least in that sense regarding foreign policy.
Right.
I think for me, besides that, I think that what I'm actually looking forward to is, of course, the Supreme Court becoming more conservative. I honestly think the smartest move that Trump can actually make is put Ted Cruz on the Supreme Court, because both the Democrats and the Republicans can't stand him. And as long as he's out of the Senate, then everyone wins. So I think that might actually be the best move that Trump could ever make in terms of the Supreme Court, but you never know.
I mean, I was just saying that I prefer Mike Lee on the Supreme Court. That's just my personal preference. But Ted Cruz on the Supreme Court would be fine. I wholeheartedly agree with you. I'd love to see J Street getting screwed over. I'd love to see the embassy move to Jerusalem. However, I'm pretty sure I saw Wally Ferris, who's Trump's top senior advisor, basically kind of throw cold water on the embassy to Jerusalem idea. And again, the Supreme Court, I don't mean to be a downer, but again, Chuck Schumer is going to filibuster any nominee on that list.
And then you can shine the light in his eye socket and say, by the way, you didn't like it when the Republicans
bet
the farm on Merrick Garland, and if you think that you're so holier than thou, then don't you dare do this because you lost, and your entire party lost because of hubris. So
exactly,
I think in that case, swallow the humble pie, shove it down your throat, and deal with it.
I agree.
Well, let's be honest here. Don Willett is going to be the one that's going to be appointed.
Really? That'd be awesome.
No,
I love Don Willett. He has the best Twitter out of everybody on Twitter.
Yeah.
So you just see his Twitter, it's so good.
I completely second that. But honestly, I think what I'm really looking forward to is, and this is something that I've been telling to a lot of my friends, and from who are more liberal and more conservative. I think that the one good thing that Trump did in terms of winning is that we're starting to see more calm minds on both sides of the political spectrum saying, yes, he won. Yes, there are things that we are somewhat nervous about. I have my own reservations with him. I've made it publicly clear and very, very clear to so many people. And I think that because Trump has won and we're trying to figure out all together what we're going to do about it, that you're starting to see like I said, the calmer minds of the left and the right coming together and saying, yes, we may not like everything that he's doing, but as long as we work on everything together and start building this coalition of smart, like thoughtful people, then we can actually get a lot more done and stop a lot of the animosity between both sides, especially coming from the extremes. And as long as we reach out to those people on the left who aren't going out there protesting like a bunch of whiny crybabies, thinking that they didn't get their way because somehow racism, sexism, blah, blah, blah. As long as we talk to the people that aren't that, then I think the best thing that could come out of this is a more unified country. And I think that's the best thing that could possibly come out of this entire election.
It could happen. I didn't realize people on the left were capable of having calm minds. So I think if they prove me wrong,
okay. Not all liberals are leftists. We all know this.
I understand, but so many of them are hysterical, though. I mean,
yeah. Well, that's what. Yeah. But thankfully, those guys are starting to kind of like teeter themselves out into the area of relevance now that Obama is walking away into the sunset, thinking about finding ways to throw people under the bus. But that's his modus operandi.
We'll see, though. I mean, if Keith Ellison becomes DNC chair, though, that'll be hilarious, but also kind of scary.
That's going to be a Jeremy Corbyn effect, and that will probably ensure that the Republicans have hegemony over this entire country for at least a decade. Because if Ellison is the one digging his feet into everything and doubling down on the regressive leftist values, sorry, the Democrats are going to lose.
Also, the fact that he has ties to Hamas too, so the dude's a very radical left winger, Islamist, anti-Semite kind of person, So, I think better not win if he's a DNC chair, but
I don't want Students for Jewish Persecution activists getting that close to the party. Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, we need to kind of start winding this down now. So, at the end of all my shows, for those of you who don't know, I always like to give shout outs to people, and I want to shout out at Ben Shapiro, at Andrew Clavin, and at Real Daily Wire, because those are pretty much my favorite accounts other than mine. So let's let Kassy shout out, give a shout out to anyone and anything you want. You got the floor right now.
Okay, I'm going to give a shout out to somebody who's been following me since I found Trigglypuff, and this person has a very small account, only 200 followers, but they have the best comments on everything. So Cheese Trader 1, that's his name. It's great. And definitely Nick J. Fuentes. Me and Elliot kind of met him, and he was just phenomenal in the debate at Boston University, if anyone saw it. And then my third favorite account, ooh, this is tough. All right, I'm going to give it to the CEO of Lone Conservative, Micah J. Messer. Good account. Follow him, too.
All right. Amanda had some internet trouble, so she asked me to hang on. I'm pulling up the text. She asked me to shout out a whole bunch of people. Let's see. She had a whole list. She was ready for this, and then her internet went down, and it's all. One of them was Josh Yaz at Josh Yaz. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, it's Josh Yasma, but whatever. You can call him the Yaz. He's given me permission to tell you all. You can call him the Yaz or Professor Yaz, and I cannot find the text. She had Peter Hassan. Does anybody know his Twitter handle?
Oh, wait, hold on.
Peter Hassan from the Daily Caller.
It's Peter J. Hassan.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a good follow. Friend him on Facebook too, because he friends everybody back. Okay. Why don't we go to have Aaron do some shout outs?
Okay. Well, first let's give a shout out to Harry Kachashfried, because he's been on fire this whole week on Twitter.
Yes.
And he's just been the most hilarious tweets I've ever seen. So give him a follow at Harry1T6. He's hilarious. I also like to give a shout out to our friend Stocks at BMAC 057, 507, 507, I think.
Why did you bring him up?
Because it's not, BMAC 0507, my bad. Sorry, stop. I should get on handle by now. And mainly because, again, he's hilarious too, but also he put me in Urban Dictionary, which I think is awesome. The term bandle is now a thing, which is just hilarious. So thanks, buddy. Let's give Anna White a shout out too. Anna Eleanor, she always has a lot of savage tweets.
She really is fantastic. She
really does. And let's take a shout out to a couple of friends of mine. There's my buddy at Mark Moiser. That's Moiser spell. Its handle is at Mark Moiser. Moiser spelled Meuser. He's a buddy of mine from my hometown in the Bay Area. He's ran for the state senate twice. He's a cool dude. He's got an interesting blog up, so give him a follow. Give my friend Andrew Phillips at DC Drew a follow as well. He's a cool dude. Also give Kyle Texan a follow, Become a Texan. Dude's always hilarious. So.
Can I give one more shout out?
Yeah, go ahead.
So this shout out is at Steve_Shives. If any of you guys know who Steve Shives is, he's the king of blocking every single person on Twitter. If you're not blocked by Steve Shives, you're doing something wrong. That's now in the Urban Dictionary where you get shived, which means a liberal, intolerant person blocks you for no reason. So
that reminds me actually. So Bill Mitchell was my favorite account to make fun of on Twitter, but now I can't anymore because of Trump. It's like, well, that's probably the worst thing about the Trump thing being elected. They can't make fun of Bill Mitchell anymore, which sucks. So now instead of Bill Mitchell, everyone can go follow Matt Iglesias and make fun of him because he's like the left-wing version of Bill Mitchell with his moronic tweets and just his work in general. It's just so many stupid comments there. It's like a gold mine of comedy fire. So give him a follow at Matt Iglesias. I always love trolling him with my article, 11 stupid things Matt Iglesias just said. Just give him a follow to make fun of him.
Okay, I just found Amanda's text. She also wanted to shout out Prestigiacomo at
Saleh, I think.
Saleh, okay.
Sweetheart.
And
Press is awesome.
James O'Keefe at James O'Keefe III.
Oh, that dude's awesome.
So those were the other ones from Amanda. Okay, so Kyle, do you have anybody to shout out?
Not anymore. I will, reinforce the shout out. I was going to shout out Harry at Harry1T6. Just recently met him. Not in person, but over Twitter. So it's good to know there's a conservative in Canada. Also, shout out to
never Canada.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Also, he cracks me up. Aaron's right. He's been on a roll. It's been really funny. Also, shout out to Pardes because Pardes has been doing I really like her tweets. And I will say shout out to Anna Eleanor is going to hate me for this, but shout out to Mark Levin Show and to Levin TV.
Of course, yeah.
For those of you guys that do not have CRTV or Levin TV yet, get it. Kelly, that means you.
I'm waiting for my paycheck, okay?
But you guys will love it. It's the best investment you'll make.
Well, especially since Mark Levin recently linked one of my pieces, so he's not. So you know what? You definitely give him a follow just for that alone.
Yeah. Yes. There you go. Okay, Elliot, you want to give some shout outs?
Absolutely. So first, Josh_Hammer. He is an AAPI brother. He graduated from U Chicago Law School and he just passed the bar in Texas. He writes for The Resurgent, and he literally showed up in the middle of a anti-Trump rally with another one of his friends with a bag of popcorn, and he said, "We just got barricaded. Walls work." Brilliant, savage move. He is one of my favorite friends and mentors at this point. Shout out also to his younger brother Matthew Hammer at Matt_Ryan18. He was actually on Frank Lunz's what was it? His focus group on 60 Minutes when they were talking about how divided everybody is. And he went on TV and said that Hillary Clinton is a train wreck. And it was actually broadcast. So he is also a savage individual who I adore as well. And last but not least, this is a guy that really needs to be given a lot of credit for exposing the left. Dave Rubin of Rubin Report.
Oh, yeah.
That man has done so much more for destroying the left than I think any one of us here has ever done, because he has taken his show and he made it about discussing ideas. He made it about talking about how the left has been eating itself out, and he has done a phenomenal job at trying to balance everything and everyone on a level playing field and telling everyone that we are all equal, that we are all the same under the law, and that all that should matter is our ideas and not anything about the complexion of our skin or religion, everything else. We're all Americans. And as long as we continue following his example with everybody, I think that we're in a much better place as a result. Those are my shout outs.
There you go. Amanda, can you hear us?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, I gave all the shout outs already for you, but if you wanted to give them yourself.
Yeah, aren't you really proud of me? I always forget.
I am.
I actually was prepared. So
yes.
Yeah, James O'Keefe is important because he helped expose the Democrats for who they are, disgusting, vile, cheating liars. So he exposed, as you guys know, he exposed that they were inciting violence at Trump rallies and then obviously painting Trump supporters as vile, violent people. So he helped expose that, and then also voter fraud, which is real. So he helped expose those two things, which is huge. So watch his videos. Comes out important things. He back in the day was with Andrew Breitbart, and he helped expose oh goodness, what was
Acorn.
Thank you, Acorn.
Yep.
He helped get them shut down. I just automatically go to Aaron.
That's
Everyone does.
Yeah,
Yep,
and then
that's how
also
it goes.
Harry. Harry is obviously follow Harry. I can't say his last name. What's his
Kachatrian.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
Follow him as well.
Yes.
That guy is a boss.
Yeah.
Saying that now.
Oh, yeah.
Just saying
really
that
There
now.
it is.
I think the Harry fan club just increased.
Oh, it really did.
Yes.
It did. It really did.
Oh, it
Really
really did. All right, so we are going to go off the air. Thank you guys so much for coming, especially Kassy. I'm so excited to have
Yeah.
had you
Thank
on.
you,
but
Kassy.
yeah,
Kassy, you're awesome.
Thanks for having me.
everyone loves Kassy and Harry,
Yeah.
apparently. All right, so we are going to go off the air.